Welcome back to I Know Football. With the spring football season quickly approaching, I'm reviewing every cleat I can get my hands on. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the revamped Nike Vapor Edge Speed Cleats. If you've been a fan of my channel for a while, you know that the Nike Vapor line are some of my favorite cleats. Now this year, they have 3 different Vapor cleats. They've got the Speeds that you see in this video. They also have the Pros and they have the Elites. I've made videos on both of those. The Speeds are the lowest price model in the Vapor line. The Speeds retail for $100. Then you have the Pros that retail for $125, and then at the top of the line, you've got the Elites that retail for $200. Now in this video, we're gonna be comparing this year's revamped model of the Speeds to last year's model of the Speeds. Now you can already see some of the design differences, but I'm gonna break it down and show you what Nike has done to upgrade this cleat. The first thing we're gonna look at are the aesthetics of the cleat. Now yes, there are different colorways and this cleat just released, so you don't have that many, but you have a few different colorways other than white. Now what I really liked about the cleat from last year is overall, I feel like the design is a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, just when you look at the upper. Now we're gonna take a closer look at this. Now I did review this cleat last year. This was a limited edition colorway. I love the metallic silver along with the orange and the blue. I think it was released around the Super Bowl. It's just a super low profile, very clean cleat. Now I compare that to the white. Close up, you can see that what they've done to the upper of the cleat. It looks like there's some additional design elements on there, as well as an additional overlay that's gonna provide some more durability and protection. Now the trade-off for that is I think this cleat is going to be a little bit hotter. It's not gonna breathe as well, just when you look at the skin that's on the upper of this cleat. So you've got some additional overlay, some added durability. If you look here, you can see that Nike has put additional stitching all around this part of the cleat. So you have this swoosh, there's stitching that starts here and goes all the way around the cleat to the medial side, all the way down here. So it looks like they've used different pieces in the upper. Again, there's another overlay for more durability here, a little more stiffness here, so that's gonna give you a little more heel lock. But it is gonna be a little bit heavier cleat and a little bit less breathable. Now another difference is when you look at the toe box of the cleat. The actual shape of the toe box is going to be the same, so they're gonna fit identical. So if you had the Speeds from last year, these are gonna fit the same way. But look at the eyelets. You can see right here, there's some additional durability around the eyelet, around the bottom 4, 2 on the lateral side, and 2 on the medial side of the cleat. Now, I don't think that that's for durability, even though it is, because now you have 2 layers for the eyelets to go through, but that's gonna give you a little more lockdown around the toe of the cleat. So that's gonna make the toe box, even though it's the same size as last year's, that should make the toe box fit a little bit better. So your foot shouldn't roll as much on the footbed. It should be locked down. These are kind of like a cheaper version of Flywire, although a little bit thicker, that we just did not see in the cleat from last year. So while this was a comfortable cleat, this is gonna be a little bit more comfortable because of the lockdown, which should actually make you feel a lot faster. Now continuing with the eyelets, there's an additional eyelet here. You can see I already laced it through. There's an additional eyelet in this cleat that, again, we didn't have from last year. So a lot of the challenges from last year were that you just didn't have the heel lock in the Speeds. You know, there was a little heel slippage, the sizing was a little wonky, 11.5 or 12. That's kind of what I was floating in between. These are 12. These also are size 12, but you have that great heel lock right here with that additional eyelet in the cleat. That's a huge upgrade from last year. They've also added a pull tab on the cleat. Again, if we look at last year's cleat, there's no pull tab. I love the look of this. These cleats were not hard to put on at all. They did make it a little bit easier. They added a pull tab, makes it a little bit more of an accessible cleat. But that does add to kind of the bulkiness and changes the silhouette quite a bit on the cleat. So I'm not a fan of it. I don't think it was needed on the Speeds. It just makes this cleat look so much cleaner without that pull tab. Now on the inside of this cleat, they did change the Achilles padding. Now I know this cleat is black on the inside, so it's hard to see, but this padding, you can see those thick pads. It's reminiscent of the original Nike Speed cleats, the pods here that are really going to cushion the Achilles. Now the old cleats, they have the pods as well, but they're much thinner. They don't go, they go around the ankle bone, right under the ankle bone to provide some more of that comfort. They don't really cushion the Achilles as much. I know it's really hard to see, but they don't cushion the Achilles as much as the newer models this year. Now there's something else that they changed on this cleat, and that's gonna be the tongue. And I think it's a huge miss from Nike. With this cleat on the tongue, you can see that they have this little cutout here for your ankle. This is something that is going to create a little bit of a better fit. So it's going to, when you tie the cleat down, this is gonna be able to wrap around your ankle, and there's gonna be less distraction here that's gonna rub against your ankle. They didn't do that in this cleat. So you have a much thicker tongue, so it's gonna be a little bit more padded, but this gets in the way of your ankle, and it could provide some little discomfort for those of you who that's rubbing against your ankle. Now what they did is they saved that cutout for the Elite cleats. Again, I reviewed that video, but definitely take a look at that. So it looks like they saved that for the higher end model and they removed it from the lower end model. Now the bottom of the cleat is gonna be the same. This is the same traction plate that we see throughout the Vapor line. It's the same traction plate that we had last year. Again, it's one of the best plates, if not the best plate in football currently that I have tested. Now you see that there's not the extra overlay on the bottom of the stitching that you saw in the Pros and the Elites. I think that's another cost-saving measure. It's another way to differentiate the speeds from the Pros and the Elites. I never had a problem with this, so I don't really think the overlay was needed, but just know that this is not gonna have that. So if you had the speeds from last year, and if for whatever reason they split at the bottom, there's still that same potential, I think, with this cleat. Even though they did put some stitching around the upper to really just hold this cleat together a little bit better. All in all, I do think this is an upgraded and worthy cleat, better than last year's version of the cleat. If you have the speeds already, I do think it's a worthy upgrade. The only thing I'll say is I'm not a fan of the colorways. Hopefully they come up with some more exciting colorways, something that looks a little bit more like this, where you have a swoosh sign that is dynamic versus this, which is just kind of plain and worked in. All the colors I've seen so far on Nike are basic. And then of course they increased the price of $5. I still think it's the best cleat in the Vapor line. So I think that, you know, if you are a speed player, definitely look at these over the Pros, over the Elites. This is definitely going to be one of the top cleats this year. Now, if you like this video, definitely be sure to check out my other videos. I reviewed the Pros and the Elites. Make sure you like this video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time.